Do you believe in the existence of extraterrestrials?
Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Thursday, December 19th, 2024, as we head towards the end of the year and the drone situation on the U.S. Eastern Coast continues to fester. What are they? What's going on? What are we seeing? Well, we're going to have to wait for the show to get to that, my friends, and for the government to go ahead and tell us the truth. Oh, Mocha's here so much. How about that? Good to see you, Mocha. You're floating in the air. Good to see a little girl. On that note, let's go ahead and welcome in our audience to see who the heck is there. Let's have a fun time. Get back to our usual format. Lou's not here tonight, but we've got Mocha here hanging out. Good to see you, girl. All right, on that note, let's go ahead and bring up the list. Here's her cookie. I've got a bag. I'm going to go through this bag during tonight's show. On that note, let's go ahead. Let's strike up the drums. And let's welcome in our audience. How about that? Let's see who the heck we have out there. Well, we've got Ann Joanna's there, along with AK. Aburax is here, along with A. Husk. Would you look at that? We've got Alex Lewis. Amanda Dodson's here, along with Angry Unsugared Marshmallow Peep. Yeah, it's a long one. Maybe not as long as our friends from Crystals, but we'll see. Anonymous Rex is here, a non-YouTube account. Anton Ghost, April R. Coleman. She's been around here forever, but she's really young, I'll tell you. Also want to thank Billy New, Biz Witt, Brian Cameron, Brian Halama. There we go. Also, Brick Monks, Germany, Cali 420, and Canaguy 420. Got a bunch of 420 people here, too, hanging out with each other. I never would suggest. Cali 420, don't bogart, please. Also want to thank Carl Joe Garrison. We have Chris Porter's here. Cosmo Fang is around, along with Corporal A. We've got Craig Smith, Cutter. You already ate it? Jesus Christ, dog. Let's go ahead and thank Cypher75, Daniel 2345. The second is here, along with Dark and Light. Dark Fury is here, not Dark Furry. It'll be a different context. Davis Dean is here, along with Deal Wolf Strike. We got Dent Viz. Digger Dog's here. Whatever happened to Bones, Digger Dog? I don't know. He kind of vanished, but you guys kind of go together. Digger Dog, Bones, you know what I mean. Oh, let's thank Donald Harris is here, along with Doug Kurtz. We got Dr. Republic. Easy Gains, sounds like a lifting guy. F2 Twister is here, along with Fink Floyd. Would you look at that? We have Firefly. Not Firefly. We got Frank Barone, Frank Catheel. Flostradamus, or Frostradamus for that matter. We've got Gaucho. Are you from down south in Argentina? Maybe. You never know. Ghost Fixer is here, along with Giant Arc Sephora. We got Glenn Welsh, Gray Hair Discoveries. Have you found any new ones? I haven't. I also want to thank Gringo Suave, Health and Business. Healthy Dive, Irish Lincoln's here. J Bones, J Palm, James Brown. You got Jan, we got Jeff Carrero, Jermaine Griffin, Jessica Jane 20. Joe's here, along with Joey Stoner. John Moskowitz, along with Johnny UFO, Joyce Jeffers, Julie Farrell. Julie, love ya, girls. Hugs. Kisses. I'd send you kisses right now, but I'm doing the intro. But let's go ahead and welcome. Boy, Julie, what a schmuck's going ahead and attacking good old Ted Rowe today. I'm glad we both stepped in, my friend. It was worth it. Skeptical believer, my ass. That's the person. Justin Carriz is here, along with Kay Rizzi. Kathy's here, and Kelly Brote with those piercing blue eyes. Good to see you, Kelly. We got Kenneth Wernick. Oh, yeah. Wenrick. There we go. We got Key West. That's a great place to live, I hear. KJK Simmer. Gotta go hang out at Sloppy Joe's, though, if you're in Key West, my friend. Nice thank Clipper, Cody, Coffee Cat, Larry Stevenson, Leah Patra. We got Lee Asbury, Lee Bremy, Liliana Chuna's here along with Mr. Lit Clicker. We got Little Schism, Lord McCormick, Louis the Fifth, or Louis the Fifth. Let's go ahead and say it right. We got Lucky 81 Jewel, Lynn 60 Miami's here along with Marcus and the Mandels. That's actually Marcus Mandel, but I think it sounds better Marcus and the Mandels. What the heck? We've got Marvin the Martian. Matt Ramone, good to see you, Matty, all the way from the great state of Ohio. We've got McCarolyn, close enough. Mia Luna, Michael Dymock, Michaela Curry, Michelle Gosnell. We got Modern Office Girl, Mojo. There is no Mojo. No Mojo. Oh, I forget that one. Anyway, Moon Pie's here. Miss Medieval 66. Mojo Jojo. That's it from Powerpuff Girls. Nick is here. Nancy's here. Nick P. Let's see. We got Nightshade Giggle. Nikki Lily's here. Oak. Oscar. Dad. We got Paul. Polk. Cabazola. There we go. We got Paul Damon, the man who was blocked, and I unblocked. Just behave, Paul. I like you. I like your icon, my friend. Peggy and her South Florida friends. That would include Crockett and Tubbs. And of course, Steve. Can't forget Steve, can we, Peggy? We got Rachel Osborne. Raul is here. Rainbow, also known as Jane. We got Raha Baba, random person. Ramos, Richard Braham. We got Richard Manish, Robert Colford, Robert Love, Robert Vargas. A bunch of Roberts here today. How about that? We got Rodney Lee. We got Rollins. Where did I know that name? Oh, yeah, from Special Victims Unit, Law and Order. How about that? I don't think it's the same one, but you never know. Let's see who else we have here. We got Ron Mack and a crazy dog who keeps on barking at us because she wants to hit me up for more cookies. We got Ryan O'Hare. Ryan O'Hearn. We got Sam Wallace, Scott, Kodo Mello. How about that? Amilo. I got Scowling Wolf. I know some scowling women whose names we're not going to mention. We also have Shirley Montgomery, SGW, Sino, and that long name, Sprightly Sprites, Gemstone, Crystal, Mineral Magic. We got Stephen, Steve C, Steve Hines, Steve Leap. That's all the Steves in one. And Stephen McStevenson. That's a double Steve, my gosh. We got Stuson Goffs, Time Traveling Caucasian, Tej E, the Chromosome Cowboy, the Yarnaholic, the Thingamajig. We got Tia Maria, Tiffany Pivo, Tiffany, we'll just call you Tiffany. We also got Tigrel. Oh, yes, Mocha. Toxic Revenger. 2 at 666. Vern is here along with Warrior. We got Wesley Sissons, William Sissons. Oh, well, Wesley Sissons, J, X-Jet, we got Yankee 58, and to bring up the end, we got Nebula Dust 1018. Thank God you finally shut up on that one. All right, on that note, sometimes it's not just about our friends in the chat and the dog who's barking. Sometimes it's about our friends in the back. Let's go ahead and take a look at who the hell we have back there. First of all, we've got our dear friend, Corporal Abe. How's it going, Abe?
Hey, happy holidays, everybody. It's almost time for Santa to land his drone and deliver some presents to all the good kids.
You better believe it, my friend. Yeah, coming from the city that never sleeps in Bangkok, Thailand, I bet there's a lot of good presents you could go out in the streets and get there in Thailand.
Absolutely. There's too much. It's overwhelming.
Absolutely. I also want to thank a new person in the back, Mr. Ed Brown. Thank you for coming in today, Ed.
Good to be here. Enjoyed the show.
Thank you for coming. I wish I was in my recliner too, honestly. It's right over there. Thank you for coming in. I also want to thank Joseph Nuzzo. Thanks for coming in today, Joseph.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Let's get it today.
Absolutely. Also, we have another dear one of our friends, Kenneth Anderson. Thanks for coming in, Kenneth.
Yeah, thank you. One more mic check. How's this?
Oh, you were louder before, but they sound fine now, my friend. Just make sure you have that noise cancellation on. We're all set. Also, let's go ahead and see who else we have there. Well, coming from the upper Midwest, our remote viewing targeter. Let's welcome in our very own Laura Campbell. How's it going, Laura?
Going great, Thomas. We need to clear the skies of drones so Santa can make it through.
I would hope so. Let's see who else we have there. We also have LMC. Welcome, LMC.
Thank you. Good to see you, Mocha. Good to see you, Thomas. Looking forward to tonight's show.
We got more dogs on your side. You get it. Also want to welcome our dear friend Rick Roberts, Mr. Survey himself. Welcome, Rick.
I'm doing good.
Would you look at? Thank you very much. Would you look at that? We have someone in the back we haven't in a long time, Ms. Shelley Montgomery. Hey, how's it going, Shelley?
Hey, Thomas. I just want to say, great show last night. Thank you for bringing him on.
Oh, you're welcome, my dear lady. Yeah. Thank you for coming out. Absolutely. Also want to welcome our next woman into the panel. Let's welcome in Tia Marie. How's it going, Tia? How's the East Coast treating you?
Oh, it's doing pretty good, actually. We're getting some snow. You know, I love that. So we're waiting for Santa.
Yeah, I'm still probably 2 weeks of snow. Usually doesn't snow in the Pacific Northwest until about the 4th or 5th of January, about the first day of the Consumer Electronics Show usually. But thank you for coming in, my dear lady. And in setting our attention...
It's my favorite place to be.
Oh, you better believe it. It's so wonderful to have you here. I can't say that. I love the attitude. Just saying. Don't ever lose it. There we go. And also, in other news... Mike, Disclosure, how the hell are you?
I'm doing well. Just, the usual. And we have a great show for our audience tonight. We're going to cover what's going on currently with the drone. So this should be interesting.
Yeah. Just so the audience knows, Mike has been out at ShopRite going ahead and taking care of some needs for the family. He's got multiple sick kids and a whole household he needs to take care of. You are such the super mom. I mean, super dad, Mike.
Either one. It works.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Thomas. Oh, yeah. Whatever you have to do, whatever it takes.
You better believe it. Well, following up on, before I get to the headline for today, talking about this shoot-down zone that they've put up over the state of New Jersey, I've got to follow up to our interview with Lou Elizondo. Remember, Mike, how we asked Lou about if he considered being a part of the Trump administration?
Yes. And there are some breadcrumbs.
Well, yeah, apparently he had an interview. I'm not sure if it was yesterday, kind of looking at his hair and everything. It may have been today with Donald Trump Jr., talking about him potentially being maybe a UAP czar for the federal government. Go figure.
It's about time.
It's about fucking time, my friend. I don't think there could be a better person for this role than Lou Elizondo.
I agree.
Yeah.
With his experience with the government and this subject, as a subject matter expert, and with his recent testimony before Congress, I think he would be an ideal person.
I don't think there's anyone better that could come there. I know we've got people like Colonel Nell and we've got people like David Grush, but I think Lou's a bit more grounded. He's got a lot more experience dealing with the public for what he's been doing and everything, and he's been doing this for a while. If there's anyone who could possibly help bring out the truth, I think Lou's at the top of that list.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see with the new incoming administration.
Oh, yeah.
How this all shakes out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that administration doesn't include Kim Jong-un either.
No. Inside joke, everybody.
Oh, that was last night. Yeah, that's his wife. So, Jennifer, we love you so much, girl, if you're watching. I was just texting her beforehand, before the episode, and she was like, he didn't say that, did he? And it's like, oh, yeah. She's like, well, he's going to pay for that one slowly.
Oh, yeah. That's part of married life.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to marriage. And yes, she is his handler. That's also triple verified from the handler itself. On that note, let's go ahead and get this little clip coming to us from the Donald Trump Jr. a podcast earlier today. And let's see what they have to say. This is just a short little 2-minute and 21 clip. And then we'll have some great feedback for our audience and see where they want to take it. So on that note, let me go ahead and get the video full here. And get that down a little bit. I guess it's so wide. Why are they doing this? Screw it. We'll make it fit. Good enough. Let's take it. Let's play it, and let's see where it goes. Here's Lou Elizondo on the Trump podcast, Donald Trump Jr. podcast. Here we go.
Because if you go back in the clock 60, 70 years ago, before we ever made it to space, we only had an Air Force and an Army and a Navy, right? We weren't fighting in space. We weren't in space. And now we have a Space Force and a Space Command because we've got a lot of equities in space. This is one of those rare occasions where you have this gray area between a technology that could be used for military purposes, is being used for intelligence, could be used as a weapon, and could be used for civilian and other uses. And that guy or gal reports directly to your folks and says, look, here's the emerging technologies. Here's the threats. Here's what we're seeing overseas. Here's what we're doing here. Here's our counter drone capabilities. Here's our offensive drone capabilities. And here's what we can do and what we can't do. I'm wondering if something like that would be helpful.
Listen, 3 weeks ago, I would have said that's a huge waste of time and money. It's not that big a deal yet. But it turns out, it's interesting. I mean, especially when, people think of, the Department of Energy as actually having to do with energy. Their biggest thing is actually guarding the nuclear arsenal. And so if there's drones flying over that stuff and they're mapping all that out, I mean, it doesn't take much to envision a potential disaster. So, it's certainly something interesting. I think we're trying to cut government, but I think there are things that we obviously, need to do to protect ourselves. So maybe, Lou, what I'd ask is how does all of this stuff, fit into the broader mosaic of the work you've been doing? You have your new book, Imminent, which is a look inside the Pentagon's hunt for UFOs, but what I learned last time in talking about this, the UAP doesn't necessarily mean it's an alien, right? There's just, it's different.
It's absolutely
what's
related.
The next chapter in this story? Does all of this sort of intertwine in that?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. It's all related. Look, everything is a UAP or a UFO until it's identified, right? Everything is
talking about things that have been identified or not identified. Actually, before we get on to the next comment, a great conversation. It's not exactly what I was hoping for, Mike, but it actually does bring to the point in this great conversation that Lou really does know his stuff compared to everybody else that's out there.
Because he has a lot of experience working for the government and dealing directly with this, which was what makes him a subject matter expert. He's got a lot of information. He's seen a lot of things that have not been publicly acknowledged. So, which is, again, why I think he would be ideal for any role in the incoming administration.
You can almost say he's also gathered a lot of great if you want to call it college counterintelligence, talking to everybody in the UAP area to figure out what they know, what they don't know, and what's best for the American people. Luke Skywalker, you're breaking up. Start again. Start again, Mike. You're breaking up there a little bit. You must be in the back of the grocery store.
What I was saying is that he also has direct knowledge of the legislation that has been put before Congress behind the scenes. He's had a hand in that.
Yeah.
With UAPDA and the Whistleblower Protection Act, all of it. Lou has been working behind the scenes with Congress. So, he's got a lot of knowledge and experience with different branches, the executive branch.
Well, he's been working. Well, you bring up the executive branch, Mike. Lou has been working in the executive branch for a couple of years now at this point.
Yeah, he explained that to us the other day before the show.
Yeah. It's something that's there. It's part of what he does. He's been a part of Disclosure. And you know what? We do need someone who has the kind of chops, that has the ability to relate to the public, and also to try and bring up everybody from the close down that we've gotten from people like Jake Sullivan, someone whose name that Lewis would have mentioned last night, who is part of the Biden administration, who wanted to bring Disclosure out, but was shut down halfway through the administration. Oops, did I say that name, Mike?
Yes, you did.
Oh, well.
That's okay. We've spoken about it before on the show in detail about what was going on with the National Security Council and Jake Sullivan.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. We thought he was going to be our friend. We thought he was going to go ahead and bring out the information about the UAP that were shot down in Dead Horse, Alaska last year. Oh, God, a year ago in January, if not longer. We had a year ago in January. They were going to go ahead and bring out the information about the ones in Dead Horse, Alaska, about the ones that were shot down on the Yukon, about the one that was shot down over Lake Huron that was initially seen over Maelstrom Air Force Base. And that's where we keep part of our nuclear arsenal, isn't it?
It is. And also, he was doing a lot of work behind the scenes, as you and I were talking about at the time it was going on, and he got shut down by his boss.
Right.
Which is right. So it tells you that the executive branch, right up to the top, doesn't want disclosure.
No.
With this administration.
Because remember, he actually brought out on a recent podcast that was out there. I think I've got the clips stashed here somewhere for the show later on, where he was actually working at Space Force before it was accidentally or purposely released by Danny Sheehan with David Grush back in the day. And they were actually made more headway finding more UFOs and reporting this up when they were working at the Space Force. So the information is there. It's available in the Space Force, especially when they were working down, I think it was in Crystal Springs, Colorado.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. I remember talking with Lou many times when he was driving down to that base.
Right. That's right. Yeah, has the experience to do the job that the American public need finally to be working on their behalf. So we're going to see very soon, January 20th, moving forward, should be very interesting for everybody.
It's
Can't
not
wait
that
to cover it.
It's not that far away, is it, my friend?
No, it's right around the corner.
Yeah. And honestly, I have not found out what is the magic word for people to take shots today. The other day was my friend. Yesterday was the word eminent. We'll see where it goes to on this one. All right, to go ahead and get on to the next piece of, before we get to the top story tonight about the shutdown that's going on the East Coast, I've got, a tweet coming from our, Ross Coldheart, don't you, Mike? You've talked to him many times on the phone.
I have. We're good friends, Russ and I.
Oh, gosh, yes. Now, if I go ahead and bring this one up here, let's go to this one here. All right. An extraordinary clear sighting of what looks like a large golden orb hovering near Atlantic City, New Jersey. This is earlier today, actually, this is last night, my friends. This does not look like any drone. Apparently, fighters were scrambled. Now, this one came from Ross Coldheart today, coming from Matthew Nelson. He said a couple hours ago, the fighter squadron down the road from my house, approximately 15 minutes outside of Atlantic City, New Jersey, scrambled 4 F-16 fighter jets. My buddy and I were talking in the front yard, and a few minutes later, we noticed an extremely bright, glowing orb in the sky. It was moving slowly towards my house, and after about 10 minutes, it started moving in the opposite direction. It was probably somewhere around 25,000 feet, and was visible for about an hour and a half before we lost sight of it. I used to work on airplanes in the Air Force and also know a lot about drones. I can confidently say this glowing object was neither. What the hell is going on here in New Jersey? Below are a couple of unedited pics and videos that I took with my Samsung phone. Let me bring up the first one here. Let me bring this up. Is he showing this object up in the sky going along? It's bright. It's moving.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's unknown at this point. So as we're seeing this, we've got some audio clips coming from the person in the back. As we're seeing this, it's interesting, but you know what? Sometimes things that you see may not be what you actually think they are. If I come up to the next video, this one is in a portrait format. We've got the same object moving around, but our dear friend Bram Lincoln did some research on this one. Again, this is why when you see something, you need to write it down. Not only do you need to actually take the footage, document it, but then you also have to go ahead and do the research for the things that you see. This thing looked bright. It was glowing. It was moving around. It didn't, have the morphology of any kind of a plane. It wasn't moving like a plane. However, let me go back on this one, just one coming into here. Oh, I had one in here. Where did it go? Oh, I've got a reply on here somewhere. Where is the BRAUM? Oh, yes, this is out there, and I know. Let me go ahead and find this a second ago. Let me go ahead and bring this up. Let me get out of here for a second, Mike. Let me get back into here. I need to find the one that I sent in here earlier today. Let me get back to my post. Let me get back into here. All right, here we go. Here's the information. I want to go ahead and bring this up. Sorry, got myself out of the way. Bram Lincoln. You know Bram Lincoln on Twitter, don't you, Mike?
Yeah.
He's a great researcher. He's someone who's into it. He's someone who does the research. And interesting, This is a Thunderhead balloon launched by a company called Aerostar. Where we got the information, we got the stuff coming about Aerostar here. Let's go ahead and bring it up. And it's a Thunderhead balloon systems. Yes, I know we're kind of to say here what we're dealing with. I know, Mike, we're going ahead and calling it out as a balloon. But if it's a balloon, we need to call it out as such, don't we? I would think.
If it's, you got to call a spade a spade. If it's a balloon, then we follow the facts.
Right.
And truth and transparency for the audience.
Yeah.
If that's what it is, then that's what it is.
Now, Ben Moakan says, I don't think so. But the question is, why? Is it a weather balloon? It could be. But the thing is, what we're seeing is the reason it's illuminated so bright, it was based on the position in the sky at that time in the evening. Now, we see an orb, we'll call it an orb. Like we saw a couple nights ago, we called it out. If you see something that looks like it, but if someone has done some research and brought it up, Brom Lincoln is a person who is truly very notable for what he's bringing up. Okay, for those who don't think it's a UFO, or do think it's a UFO, we'll leave it at there. But the best information that we've gotten so far, coming from people we know are credible, that this is a balloon that came from it, and this is the morphology of what you're seeing. And I wish it was a saucer. I wish it was something else. But based on something just kind of floating back and forth in the upper atmosphere, and a lot of times that does align to being a balloon. What are your thoughts, Tia? You have your hand up, my dear lady.
I did. I was gonna say that I think that when Trump Jr. said that a couple of weeks ago, he wouldn't have, put any thought into that. I think that speaks to Lou's character and how well he's able to communicate how serious the situation is to people like that.
Yeah.
That was what I wanted to say.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you very much. We have another person in the back called Unknown. Your hand is up, my friend. Go ahead. Three, two, one. Daryl Zernick. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, was this oh, my bad.
Just hold on a second. I know we'll get Daryl, then we'll call you back again. Go ahead. Daryl, go ahead.
Was this the balloon that was reported last night?
Yes, it was, sir.
Okay, so I think after you left the back chat last night, I was actually playing the video of that live, of that balloon, and it is a registered balloon. It's contracted out by the Air Force and NASA, actually. So it's really interesting that you're playing that tonight.
Well, good. A lot of things go on in the back after I go to bed because I start early, start the show early, get stuff together. By the time the show is done, I'm shot a lot of nights. So I'm glad you were actually able to cover that and verify that, my friend.
Oh, yeah. I took a couple snapshots of the screen. So maybe later, whenever, we can take a look at it.
Absolutely, my friend. Now, Mr. Unknown, you're back. Go ahead.
Hey, the two things. The first thing is the video that you're showing. It might look similar to what many people see with UFOs in terms of the visual, but in terms of the movement, it doesn't really quite align. But more to my point, what I want to speak about is that we have to be careful, because if you understand the history of like the space program, and you go back to a guy named Jack Parsons, and you understand how NASA was actually formed and how there was a lot of occultism, and that's not to say it negatively. It's just that the history of the Space Force that we have in America, there's always been this kind of embedded secrecy whereby they're doing stuff. And us as the audience, we have natural human inclination to be inquisitive, and there's almost entertainment in it. Yeah. But lost in that translation is the ability for us to become a part of something that they're doing behind closed doors. And while we think we're getting the gist of it, we're really just kind of furthering their aims. So what I think would be a much more plausible scenario would be it's kind of like this kind of like game system that they have, where it's like they're just doing stuff knowing that we don't know what's going on. Right. And our inquisitive nature is almost furthering that agenda that they have going on. And that's all I wanted to say. Thanks for everything.
Yeah, Absolutely. Thank you for coming in on this one. And I just started a poll for our audience really quick. What does our audience think about this sighting? Is it a balloon? Is it an orb or a UAP? Or I was going to put other in there, but I didn't get there in time before I hit the button. Hey, Google, set a time for 1 minute and 30 seconds, please.
Okay. 1 minute, 30 seconds.
All right, with 1 minute and 30 seconds left on this, I'm going to try and keep that up there so you can go ahead and see it. What do you think it is, audience? This is your chance to go ahead and vote. Do you think it's an orb, or do you think it's a balloon? As we've been saying, but love to hear what you're going to go ahead and count the sound as, and I will go ahead and align with however our audience takes this on that note. Let me go ahead and play our sound effect on this matter, turn a little bit down so it's not too loud. With only 58 seconds left, and would you look at that, Mike? We currently have 2,256 viewers. Where do you think it is, audience? Do you think it's a balloon? Or do you think it's an orb with 283 votes and 291 votes in? Let's see where we can get this in the next 43 seconds. Mike, what do you think? Is this a balloon or is this an orb? Let's move on to someone else in the back. Corporal Abe, what are your thoughts? Balloon or orb?
I'm going to go with balloon because I don't see it changing directions like orbs do. That smiley thing. It's kind of traveling at the speed that a balloon would travel. I can see it like passing by the clouds. It's not changing direction. So I'm going balloon.
Tia, last person, what do you think this is? And with only 15 seconds left, a balloon or an orb?
I think that a lot of them are orbs. Me and Harold watched them for probably like an hour and a half before the show started in New Jersey and New York, popping in and out and going all over the place.
Oh, wow. Interesting. So that sound is the end of it. Let's go ahead and with 375 votes in. If I can go ahead and just bring this down here. I got my freaking fat head on this one. Left. Let's go ahead and bring up our results. Let me stop this. Come on. Oh, I guess I already stopped it. I need to stop the sound effect. That will help. And our final results coming from our audience. You're going to love this one. It's got my face on it. Let's go ahead and show this. 56% of our audience believes it's a balloon. 44% of our audience believes it's an orb or it's just supposed to be UAP, not UBP, but there you go. It's really close on that front. You never know where it's going to go, but you know what? It's always great to look at the opportunities of what's out there and try and figure out what's going on in the skies. Now, if I get back to the interview here for a little bit, our next piece that we're bringing up today, I've got one thing I need to go ahead and do here. This is on my to-do list for my holidays, not really, but this is actually a great present. Mike, remember Dave Beaty?
Yes, sir. Very well. What about him?
Yes, better believe it. Our dear friend Dave Beaty, Mike, has actually won an Emmy for his latest
I saw that.
For his latest documentary on PBS. Maybe this is his one on consciousness. It's his, he's gotten a number of Emmy winning awards. Thank God. Dave Beaty, you've done a great job. You're a great friend of Disclosure. Who is Dave Beaty? If anyone's heard about the Nimitz incident, it was Dave Beaty's work that actually got the military, the people from the Navy to come forward and give out the information and bring it forward about the Nimitz incident. That's the Tic Tac incident we all heard about that went on a long time ago. So Dave has won many Emmys in the past. He's a great documentarian, and he will speak his his piece without people going ahead and actually trying to push him one way or the other. So congratulations, our dear friend Dave Beaty, for going ahead and getting an Emmy. That's not something light, is it, Mike? That's a real achievement.
No, that's not a simple thing to accomplish. But listen, you and I both know Dave does fantastic work.
Oh, gosh,
He's been doing it for a long time. So, the hard work pays off. It's nice that he got that recognition and got the Emmy. It's a good award. He deserves it. Good for him. Congratulations again, Dave. Nice to hear that.
You better believe it, my friend.
Good to see good people getting acknowledged,
yes.
Thomas.
Now, you know how we just talked about a little bit ago about Lou Elizondo working at the Space Force with David Grush. I actually do have a video clip from that one on my way to get to the next piece, which is our major story for the night. Let's go ahead. Should we bring this one up?
Yeah, please do.
Let's go ahead and bring it up. This is Lou Elizondo talking about his time at Space Force, which is going to be very important to his future role in our federal government. Here we go, friends.
And I had it easy. And a lot of people say, oh, it was horrible what you went through. And yeah, you know what? It wasn't fun. But there's a lot of people like Dave Grush who had to go through a lot worse than I did as far as repercussions. Within 24 hours, they tried to bury his career. And, you know, love him or hate him, irrelevant. He is a patriot. And I worked with him at U.S. Space Force. I wasn't allowed to say where, but at this point, I don't care anymore because people are like, oh, well, you know, he didn't really. Yes, he did. We worked in his SAP-F facility, a skiff together, and our only job was UAP. And no one knows that. And I'll tell you right here and right now, for the first time, that's exactly what we were working on, and Space Force was paying us to do it. And this was after ATIP. So when people are saying, oh, well, there wasn't anything to see here, that's not true. And in fact, some of the most compelling data that we have right now in the U.S. government was a result of our time at Space Force, not at ATIP, because we had better technology, more capabilities, more persistence. I'm hopeful that story will be told sometime because people like Dave, you know, I hate talking about myself. I just...
But you know what, Lou? We love to hear about it. Although you don't like talking about yourself, you've got some amazing stories, my friend. Just saying.
I do suffer a little bit from imposter syndrome because I know a lot of people had a lot worse than me. So I don't want to be the poster child of, you know, victimization. You know, I don't look at victimization as a virtue. I look at it as a challenge that we all have to overcome as human beings, part of the human experience, right?
There we go. Interesting, Mike. I don't think that before Lewis said this, I've known about this for a long time. I'm sure you have as well. But you know what? It's nice to have Lou come out with the information to actually allow us to talk about some of this stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Plus, I don't think the public has been paying too close attention. The only thing that they can associate directly with Lou is when he resigned from the Pentagon in 2017.
Right.
And that was it. They don't believe he was actually continuing to work on UAP. But as everybody heard right now come out of his mouth, he and David Grush actually did. So
yeah,
that's something that needs to be known. And he continues to do great work, like we were talking about behind the scenes. So this is something that that Lou, for all the flack he gets for different things, he's still behind the scenes being a patriot and doing the hard work that is not easy to do.
You mean all the schmucks that challenge him and call him a grifter, call him a liar and everything on a regular basis? Those people?
Exactly. The trolls.
Oh, yeah. Like we had attacking our show last night, you mean?
Yeah, the ones that come in. Yep, exactly.
Oh, yeah, they're around, they're here and everything. Now, if I can go ahead and bring up this document here. All right, so as of today, there was a NOTAM put out by the FAA listing 22 areas over the state of New Jersey where it's become illegal to go ahead and fly a consumer drone, meaning that if you go ahead and fly a drone in any of these areas, local authorities have the ability, Mike, to go ahead and shoot them down. Interesting, isn't it? 22 areas.
Well, we talked about this. Yeah, this is something where the government must be getting a little goddamn desperate, because if they're instituting a no-fly zone on commercial or civilian drones and they're authorizing to shoot, because so far, and we've talked about this on the show, these mystery drones that are all over the state, they haven't given an authorization to shoot them down, but now they're giving an authorization to shoot down civilian drones. That's excessive, don't you think?
Well, the thing is, what we've been seeing up in the air, it's not your average drone, meaning it's not something that we're going ahead and seeing out there that actually aligns with what you can go ahead and pick up at your local store, right? We're talking about, You know, and if we look at, now that's not the one I want to bring up. Oh shit! I hit the wrong button here. Let me go ahead and come out of here for a second. I'll get this up. You know, it's drones that we're talking about, Mike, that are the size of an SUV, which means it's not your average consumer drones. It's your average consumer that can go ahead and pick up at a local gas station, as mentioned by John Kirby, or at Walmart or anybody else, or even order from Amazon. These are military class drones. More importantly, it's military class drones. They can stay stationary in winds aloft. They can have a running time of at least 6 hours, which means they probably have a running time of 7 to 10 hours, just saying, because if they, you know, it's kind of like Cinderella. You don't wait until midnight to run back, until you turn back and your shoe falls off your foot. You get out of there a hell of a lot early so you can get back to your ship and land, right? Now, if you remember,
exactly,
all the drones we've been seeing, Mike, have been coming from the ocean on a nightly basis. What does that mean? Well, who's out in the ocean? It's the U.S. Navy, isn't it?
The U.S. Navy, yeah, is absolutely
flat
near the
out
coast
U.S.
of
Navy.
continent of the US.
And those
yeah.
XP4 drones that we've been showing up here on a nightly basis on the background, and we've been going through it even when Lou was on the show last night. Those were created specifically for the Navy, and they have a new XP5 and XP7. They have running times of like 9 to 10 hours, which kind of aligns with they've got the public-facing information, which is talking about their XP4s that have a running time of an hour, but their new XP5s and XP7s can run up to 10 hours potentially, which everything truly is pointing towards the Navy at this point for what we're seeing flying over the eastern seaboard.
Yeah, exactly. And this is, you know, look, people on social media have also been saying that these are our drones from the U.S. government, that it's coming from within, from us. But when we listen to the current administration, they claim they have no knowledge, or Admiral Kirby said no knowledge of these objects or anything to do with it. But that, everyone knows, is not exactly true, because the incoming president-elect publicly stated, oh, they absolutely know where these drones are coming from, who's behind it. And they should tell the American public, and they're not.
Now, going ahead and showing the no-fly zones, we have a huge no-fly zone in the southern part of New Jersey, Mike. But you can see all of these little red circles that are all throughout the state of New Jersey. Those are all no-fly zones where they are concerned about the public infrastructure, like water, like their water processing plants and other things, energy plants, etc., to go ahead and say, you can't fly in here, but if you fly in any of these small areas, the FAA has granted the ability to go ahead and shoot down any drones that come in the area. Now, coming from my perspective, what they're saying is if we're seeing any consumer drones in this area, we have the ability to shoot them down, but we're not going to shoot down the drones that are potentially on our side.
No, they don't want to shoot down their own assets. That would be, ridiculous. But they're not being honest about the fact that it could potentially be our assets. But that's all right, because, again, the incoming administration is going to make that all public by the time they're in office. So if they don't want to tell us now, we'll find out then.
Yeah. I'd have to agree with you, Mike. That's kind of where we're at this point. It's a situation where we're trying to find out the truth and what's going on. But when you have an executive branch that's part of the cover-up, along with the DOD, not giving us the information, then you have the incoming president saying, yeah, the White House and the DOD knows exactly where they're coming from, where they're going to, what they're doing, where they're going back to. It's a cover-up, my friend. And that's kind of what we're looking at. It's that same tamp down on information that could be coming out to the American people, but apparently our current administration thinks we don't deserve that information. Do you think we deserve that information, Mike?
Oh, yes, the American people, the public, has every right to know. And I'll tell you one of the main reasons why. Because they're doing all of this work with our tax dollars. It's our money.
Oh, yeah.
It's coming out of our pockets. And we have a right to know what they're doing with our money. and they're not telling us. So that's okay. Wait for the new administration to come in. It's going to be a new sheriff in town, and this is going to be a much different government that we've been dealing with up until now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Now, this is a news story I wanted to cover yesterday, but we didn't have time. Apparently, there was a sighting that happened on the ISS, the International Space Station, yesterday, as to where there was an observation of an orb going on, or some kind of an object as they're looking down on the planet. As they went and zoomed in on it, and they showed it for a bit. After a short amount of time, they cut the feed in usual NASA fashion. Before we get to that, Ed Brown, you have your hand up, my friend. Go ahead.
I sure do. If you assume they're the Navy, which you were kind of pointing to a possible option a little bit ago, then how can Kirby get up today and say there's absolutely none of these are American military? It would seem like the credibility loss would be considerably more than whatever game they're trying to play. With only a month left in this administration, can they afford to lose that much credibility?
Of course they can.
Go ahead,
because
Mike.
what do they have to lose? They're going to be, number one, the current president is not going to run for office again after this. He's pretty much at his age, at end of life right now. So what does he have to lose? Nothing.
Credibility is still on the military. I mean, we're still going to have the same military after the change.
Probably
we're not going to have John Kirby as a spokesperson at that point.
Yeah, that's true.
They're all going to be out of a job. So
There will be a lot of generals being taken out of the Department of Defense, from what I've heard, Mike. After the new president comes in, there's a lot of things he's wanting to clean house on this point. You know, I was at a local restaurant earlier today that one of the few that I actually go to. And, you know, they had the old saying, it's cold outside. You know what the proper song for that would be, Mike, this year? It's woke outside.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those things. Not that I'm against wokeism for that matter. Well, let's leave that to where it is. Okay, I've got that video to go ahead and bring up at this point of the event happening on the International Space Station. Let me go ahead and bring this one up in full screen. Here we go, friends. Let's go ahead and play this. In this short clip, we've got stuff going on the space station, and we've got this object that kind of shows up here out in the distance. And we're at 23 seconds in, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on it. And you can see, as I zoom back and forth, as I go back and forth here, the people on the space station are interested to see what this object is. And as they zoom in on it and they watch it sitting there kind of moving around, within a short period of time, our people on the surface realize, oh, we're showing something that you shouldn't be seeing. And let me bring that up again. The live video feed from the International Space Station has been temporarily interrupted due to either a change in onboard camera configuration or a loss in signal with the communications network. Based on people observing where the space station was, this message should not have ever come up. And what it really points to is truly yet another cover-up coming from NASA. Mike, what is the old saying? What do we call NASA? Never a straight answer?
Never a straight answer.
Yeah.
Correct, Thomas.
It's one of those things.
Bill Nelson is running the show.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? Nelson.
He'll be out of a job.
Will be out of a job within a month. In less than a month.
Mm-hmm.
It's a month out, give or take, because it's December. It's January 20th. The change takes forward. It's December 19th. We got a month left for Mr. Nelson to be the head of NASA. It'd be interesting to see what kind of information comes out of NASA after the change happens.
Oh, it's going to be a different ballgame altogether, and we're going to be right here covering every step of the way.
Oh, you better believe it, my friend. Absolutely. You know, we're here every single night, whether I like it or not. We're going to keep this thing going and run it as far as we can, because you know what? Our audience deserves the truth, don't they, Mike?
They absolutely do. And even though you and I get up at 5 a.m., crack of dawn every day, we're back at it again on the show every night.
Yeah.
So, the audience should appreciate that, the dedication.
Now, really quickly, if I can go ahead and bring this up again, let me bring this one up here again. You know, we mentioned about deadly force at the request of federal security partners flies in the face of consistent messaging from the White House, DHS, and DOD that there's nothing to see here, right, Mike?
Oh, obviously, there's never anything to see there as far as they're concerned.
No, but they're
An old
saying
story.
deadly force. You know, basically, if you're flying a drone, they have the right and the ability to use deadly force to take any consumer drone down. Because remember, any of the drones that we've been seeing flying over the East Coast that have that morphology of what we've been looking like, yes, we're taking planes, putting them off to the side. We're taking helicopters, putting them off to the side. We're taking regular drones and putting them off to the side because that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about that specific configuration, or better known as a morphology, which is the overall shape of the drones that has become consistent, that we've been seeing for a long time, Mike, that identifies with what these objects are. So the DOD is trying to say there's nothing to see here, but clearly there's something to be seeing here because, you know what? The FAA wants to clear the skies, apparently, for these drones to have unfettered access above our homeland.
Yeah, but that shoot-down order doesn't include these mysterious drones, only civilian drones that they know are harmless. Now, if they really were taking a level-headed approach towards this, they would have a general shoot-down order, blanket order, that would take down anything in the sky. But they're not. They're specifically not doing that. That's very suspicious. Don't you think?
I would say it's totally suspicious, Mike. I wouldn't say it's a UFO show. I'd say it's a shit show at this point.
Oh, it absolutely is a shit show, and we've been covering it for over a month now straight. And that's what we've been referring to it as, because that's exactly what it is.
Now, to go ahead and remind viewers about what the CEO of a drone manufacturer who goes and develops advanced aerial systems or unmanned aerial systems, or UAS, for the United States military. Let's watch this clip that we showed 2 nights ago, what he has to say about what we're seeing in the skies and what he really thinks what's going on. Let me bring this up. Here we go, folks. Let's play this. What his personal assessment is on the things in the sky. Here we go.
Hey, everyone. My name is John Ferguson. I'm the CEO of Saxon Aerospace here in Wichita, Kansas. I'm not normally a TikTok kind of a guy. I like watching this stuff every once in a while. But I'm a manufacturer of unmanned aircraft, military-grade unmanned aircraft, as you can see one of my systems here. There's all of these mysterious drones going on off the East Coast, and as a professional, as a subject matter expert, I wanted to give you all my opinion on what I think could be going on with these drones. I don't particularly believe that these have a nefarious intent. I could be wrong, but I want to give you the truth and what I believe. It's my own opinion, and I've not bounced this off of anybody. So, you know, if you think it's bullshit, whatever, that's cool. You know, I don't want to spread misinformation, as we know that there's a lot of that going around. But anyway, back in the 1980s, Ronald Reagan had dismantled the nuclear program, and there were, with Russia, there were...
Oh, people are concerned this guy can't catch his breath. I just want to bring up the fact that, yes, he's talking about something. He's talking about something off the cuff. He's not used to talking in a microphone, and he is a little heavy for that matter, which means he may have a little bit of hard time catching his breath. So listen to the words. Don't try and pull them apart. If anything, this is a guy who has inside information that's trying to go ahead and give us an answer on what we're potentially seeing.
And let's remind the audience, he also holds a national security clearance
for
the work he does for the government. So there's a lot of stress right now with what he's saying to everybody publicly.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I'm just watching some of the comments in the chat, and this is just my guidance to say, hey, guys, this guy is coming out, talking about this, and he's a little,
stressed out.
Stressed out about this, and you can hear it. And you can hear it in his voice. You can hear it how he's breathing. Corporal Abe, you had your hand up for a second there, my friend.
Yeah,
go ahead, Abe.
I have to push back. I love you guys, you know I do, but I just want to say I disagree. Ryan McBeth, who also works for the government in many different capacities, he is a nuclear expert and was in the military, and he put out a pretty good video. He works in that OSINT category on YouTube, and he put out a really good video explaining and debunking this very video that the gentleman was talking about. I don't want to be argumentative, but
That's
my
fine.
experience in the military, I disagree with this gentleman.
That's fine. We all see things differently. Let me play the rest of this clip. Here we go.
Countless nuclear missiles that were disarmed and disposed of. Well, there were over 80, I believe. There were over 80 nuclear warheads that were in Ukraine that came up missing. Okay, we don't know where they are. Maybe somebody does, but nobody really knows where these are. And I speak with some pretty high-level government officials on this stuff, and it seems as though that is the case. So I spoke to a gentleman a few months ago who was trying to raise an alarm to the highest levels of our government, which they had their ears closed, about this one particular nuclear warhead that he physically put his hands on. He physically touched this warhead that was left.
So a bunch of people aren't going along with this. I'll go ahead and go back at it on this point. I just wanted to go ahead and bring this up, and this is, in my opinion, this guy is trying to bring out some information that we're not finding from a lot of different media sources. On that note, I do have a bunch of other videos I want to bring up tonight. One of the ones I wanted to bring up was that we had one of our people watching our show bring up a video, I believe, down from the Florida area. Let me go ahead and bring this one up here. Let me go ahead and show it. And he was really concerned about what he was seeing in the skies. Let me go ahead and bring this one up here and show it. Let me get rid of Lou in the background. Let me get rid of this other one in the background. Shut that one down. All right, here we go. So he was driving on the streets. There was an object out in the sky. As he was driving along, he had saw it, and then he had saw a whole bunch of other people who were stopping and getting out and looking at this object. And what we're seeing as he's zooming in on it, you have a red flashing light on the back right part of the object, and then you have another flashing light that's showing up on the bottom left part of the object while finding the ultimate video frame to go ahead and bring in. I hate to say it. While he said it wasn't a blimp, this really looks like a blimp, doesn't it, Mike? Oh, yeah, Tom, absolutely. Tia, go ahead.
It absolutely looks like a blimp.
Yes.
I mean, I remember they were in the sky all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think that's a blimp.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of people in the chat are saying it's a Goodyear blimp. And you know what? A lot of people will see things or saying it's not this or not that. The best way to go ahead and take it is look at your video footage, go back, blank out what you think it is. Look into the frames and see what you can figure out what it is. And you know what? I'm very happy that one of our viewers brought this up because we're able to go ahead and take a look at it and try and figure out what's there to you. Now, if I could find where I put my other video, what else? Go ahead, Tia.
I think it's amazing that so many people are starting to get involved and use the technology that they have at their hand to bring out, instead of just automatically saying it's UFO, it's, whatever. I really like that. It kind of, it brings more credibility to the community. So I love it.
Yeah, absolutely, Tia, absolutely. Getting back to the subject of drones and everything that's been going on in the skies, on turning towards Fox News. We have a drone expert warns there is a larger issue with mystery sightings that have been going on. Before we get there, Andy W. coming to us from the United Kingdom. Andy, what say you?
Yeah, hi Thomas. Just managed to come in on my break. Really great shows lately. Yeah, not been able to take part. But one thing that strikes me with all of this that's going on, the good thing we're getting out of it is the amount of people that are now looking to the skies. You know, we've been hearing this happening now for what, a month now?
Right.
People who would normally have their faces buried in their phones, just everywhere they go, are actually now looking up, and we'll get erroneous, footage of people filming things because they're not used to seeing a lot of these objects, and like the blimp and potentially this you've just shown and other objects. But they're now questioning, people who might never have considered this subject are now actually interested, and whether this turns out to be something prosaic that's happening at the moment or not, it has opened up an awful wide. You've got to look for the amount of people that have now joined the show. When we were a little, 6,000-7,000 viewer show, and now I don't know what you're up to at the moment, but it is engaging people who might never have got involved in this subject, and actually people are able to talk about it. So whatever happens, I'm taking this as a positive.
Yeah, I would have to agree, and thank you for that feedback, my friend. Yeah, as we see things, we're going to say things, we're going to go ahead and cover it. Now, Wild's going to go ahead and actually bring up, I've got one clip here to talk about that before we get there. Ed Brown, you have your hand up, my friend. Go ahead.
Sure do, Thomas. I kind of want to hitchhike on what Andy's saying. It's not so many how many are flying, it's how many are seen. So the best way to get the reports down to zero is to force everybody to look at the ground. But the thing that no one's brought up yet, could it be, if those are American assets and a black flag operation to actually get us to where we blow it off and we don't worry about what's up there anymore, to where something more serious later happens?
Black flag? What do you mean on that one, my friend?
Well, where the military does something to make you think it's something else. So they push a bunch of drones up in the sky. They get you looking at them, talking about them and everything till people stop worrying about it because they're just every day, and you kind of blow it off. Then when a real attack hits, no one's looking up anymore.
So in other words, kind of what we're seeing here is we've got all the drones in the sky and things going on, and then we've got some sightings that go over the military bases. It's a sighting over the military bases that we've got is the black flag event, correct?
Well, it would be the whole thing. The idea being they're trying to. Well,
if you've got the drones coming in, people are seeing it. But then you've got the drones going over the military base saying, oh, my God, look at these things going over the military base. We had to shut it down. That's almost a distraction to the main event that's going on. That's what I mean.
That's correct. Yeah, and we talked about this in back chat, but it's really going to depend on what we see overnight tonight as to what effect that ruling was. And in fact, where there's some actually shot down, we'll find that out in the morning probably. But
absolutely. Thank you very much, Ed. I appreciate you bringing up that input. And our next story, talking about the mystery drone activity likely authorized by military, coming from a retired Marine colonel. Let's see what they have to say on this one. Here we go, folks.
Kentucky Senator Rand Paul blocking a bill to track the mysterious drones seen around the country, mostly up in the Northeast. Paul argues that the Democrat-led legislation would have expanded the government's surveillance powers while downplaying concerns that the drones are a threat. Several agencies and the White House say there's no national security risk here, while lawmakers and the public are demanding more transparency. Let's now bring in senior advisor at the Center for Strategic and International Studies and retired Marine Colonel Mark Cancione. Thank you so much, Colonel, for being with me this morning. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on the show.
I found it interesting. You were quoted in the New York Post saying that the government likely won't say what they know about the drones because they're embarrassed. What do you mean by that, Colonel?
Well, by that I meant that a lot of this activity is probably authorized or, if not authorized, related to defense activities, and that Department doesn't want to say that they've kicked off this, what is turning out to be hysteria. I think we'll know shortly. I think the Trump administration will engender a lot of transparency.
I like what this guy is saying. He's speaking the truth at this point from what we've been seeing here for the last month.
See here if the Biden administration doesn't. So there'll be an answer.
And with 30 years of military experience under your belt, I mean, what's your gut check? What do you think the drone activity is?
Well, I think there are two things going on here. You know, one is mass hysteria, and the other one is a real problem. The mass hysteria is just that since everybody's now aware of drones, everyone who looks up in the sky and sees something unusual now reports it. But there's a real problem in that drones are pervasive. Just about anyone can buy one. They're very cheap. They're getting more and more capable. And the problem of these flying where they shouldn't be, whether it's over an airport or a facility, a government facility, or even a private facility or people's yards, is getting to be a serious problem. And the government's going to need to address that.
Yeah. What serious problems are you concerned about? Because one of the critical concerns has been that foreign adversaries are watching our response here, or our non-response, if you will, to these drones, and they found a seam in our approach to drone surveillance. How real is that worry or that threat, you think?
Well, that threat is not imaginary. I mean, it's real. But I think the much far greater threat here is from civilian use. That is, you have some people, I think, who are just flying drones over places just to see what's on the other side of the fence. You have some that are, doing this for potentially malicious reasons, like vandalism. And the risk is that they will fly over an airport, for example, and either shut down operations, which is very inconvenient, or perhaps even cause a crash, which would be tragic.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, he had this drone bill that would have given local law agencies more authority to identify and seize these drones. We found it interesting that Republican Senator Rand Paul blocked the bill this week. What do you think about that move, and what's the right solution here? I mean, do we need our laws to advance along with the technology?
We're certainly going to need some new set of policies to deal with this evolution of technology. Understand Rand Paul's concerns. I mean, he has been a spokesperson for privacy and against government intrusion. I think that there's a solution to be had here, but it's very difficult. The reason is that you can't use most kinetic means. You hear people say, let's shoot down these drones. The problem is that everything that goes up comes down, and if you shoot down a drone, it could land on somebody's house. So whatever solution there is, it's going to have to be non-kinetic. That is, something maybe with electronic warfare, maybe with nets. You can imagine some solutions.
What about radio jamming? Would radio jamming do the same thing? If you had all these drones in the air, radio jamming, would they all of a sudden just fall from the sky?
Well, it's possible to have directional jamming, and the military has been doing a lot of work with that. We've seen it in Ukraine, where the United States has provided some technologies to Ukraine. It's been working on these for really about a decade, and some of them are just becoming fielded.
Well, people are ready for answers, and we've got our eye closely on this story. Colonel Mark Hansian, thank you so much for your time this morning. Appreciate it, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. A lot of great interest from the chat as I've been going ahead and playing this. Tia Maria, you have your hand up, my friend.
So, you know what I worry about too, Thomas, is that they're doing this, okay, and I don't think that it's mass hysteria, for one. I think that's bullshit.
No, it's not.
But two, so I think it's because they don't want us in the skies.
No.
Okay, I think this is to put more laws down and bunker us down more so that we can't see what the hell they're doing up there.
In other words, what you're saying, Tia, what we've been seeing coming from the government has, especially coming from Chuck Schumer, has been movements to go ahead and take away the rights of American citizens from what we have today, using this issue of these military drones or adversarial drones coming over our country to use that to take away from our average citizen rights, which I believe is honestly completely wrong.
Yep. I really think that that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And It's not far from it. I mean, it is, you know, they've been trying to take our rights away now, and that, I'm sorry, but I believe that that's what it is. So,
well, I'm with you on that one, Tia. There's a lot of different possibilities of what this could be. In our next video clip, we've got one here talking about the FAA bans drones flights over parts of New Jersey. Let's see what our friends saying from the CNN or Clinton News Network from the old days have to say about that. Let's get to this one. Here we go, folks. Oh, not that one. Here we go. Let's play it. Here we go.
New developments to bring you surrounding those mysterious drone sightings in New Jersey. The FAA just announced nearly 24 temporary restrictions banning drones from being flown in certain parts of the Garden State. The agency citing, quote, special security reasons.
CNN aviation correspondent Pete Muntean is here with all of the answers. Right, Pete?
Yeah, you know, not the first time that drone restrictions have been put in place since this drone frenzy began, but this is by far the most sweeping set of restrictions we have seen. Now, the Federal Aviation Administration just made this announcement. Drones now effectively banned over certain critical infrastructure in New Jersey, the epicenter of this drone panic. Temporary flight restrictions are now in place over 22 different spots. They stretch from as far south as the Hope Creek and adjacent Salem nuclear plants on the Delaware River to as far north as the New York City suburb as Cedar Grove. Each drone ban is centered on a power station operated by utility provider PSEG. Target here, clearly recreational drones, commercial drones, police, disaster relief, all still allowed. Also, this does not prohibit traditional airplanes or helicopters. I want you to read here, though, the text of the notice to drone operators. It essentially says, mess around and find out. The United States government may use deadly force against airborne aircraft if it is determined that the aircraft poses an imminent security threat. The keyword deadly force. What is not clear is why these specific spots. Remember, the purported drone sightings that initially kicked all of this off were initially associated with military bases, and one of the first drone restrictions to be put in place was over Picatinny Arsenal. It's where the United States Army conducts a lot of weapons testing. So still a bit of a mystery here, and the FAA says it put these restrictions in place at the request of the Department of Homeland Security. It says it is doing this out of an abundance of caution, but still no specific imminent security threat.
Mess around, find out. That is the. That's.
I wanted to use the more colorful language.
Oh, I can say that. Fuck around and find out. That's where it really is, my friends.
Yeah, that's
daytime television.
That's on the Muntean family crest.
That's right.
Speaking of mess around, find out, Pete, you talked yesterday as you were doing a report about these drones in New Jersey that there had been an uptick of people pointing lasers at planes, seemingly trying to point lasers at these drones, try to figure out what they are. Obviously a very dangerous situation for airplanes, and the FAA is now putting out a warning.
It's super dangerous. You know, you can buy these laser pointers online. I have one in my desk drawer, $29 from Amazon. That's the image there from a passenger on an American Airlines flight that was going from Raleigh-Durham to LaGuardia. He said he saw this blue laser illuminate the plane over New Jersey. This was last Friday. Now the FAA says there's been a huge uptick in these laser strikes. Typically, the FAA gets about 30 pilot reports nationwide every night. Every night. Just this past Tuesday, the FAA got 123 nationwide, 24 of them over New Jersey. So essentially, average day in the U.S. localized entirely over one state. And the big risk here is that this can temporarily blind pilots, and this is typically during some of those critical phases of a flight, when you're down low about to land or taking off and still climbing. So it's a really, really dangerous thing, an $11,000 fine from the FAA, and it is a felony.
Bad news. Good warning, though, that it's out there.
Mess around, find out.
All right. Pete Muntean, thank you so much.
Well, new this morning, the FAA has placed multiple drone flight restrictions over certain parts of New Jersey. The restrictions are largely aimed at limiting drone flights over power stations and infrastructure. And this announcement comes as officials have repeatedly said there is no threat with the increased alleged drone sightings in the Northeast. My next guest, Will Austin, is an expert in drone technology. He's president of Warren County Community College in New Jersey and founder of its drone program. Well, thanks for coming on. First of all, what do you make of these drone flight restrictions? Do you think that they're necessary?
Well, I think at this point, with the way the public is seeing drones, that it's probably necessary to put up the temporary flight restrictions over areas. The nice thing about that is when we talk about the drones that I've personally witnessed over the last month, they're small recreational drones, small commercial drones, and they have a technology in it called geofencing. So they can stop the drone literally midair from entering into one of these areas. And if you're already in the area...
Really quickly, if I can, Andy, you have your hand up, my friend.
Yeah, I just want to say, if they're bringing in these new laws to stop people and restrictions, I just wonder, quickly before I go back to work, how much of a lessening in these drones, these objects we're going to be seeing. I think it's going to be, fairly minor. I don't know that we'll see a massive reduction myself. Yeah. So kind of think, they're just throwing things out there now.
Yeah.
See what sticks. Yeah.
It's about throwing a bunch of things up on the wall, like you're saying, seeing what sticks, and to figure out what comes next, my friend.
Yeah.
Thank you for that insight.
Anyway,
I appreciate it.
So I'm gonna have to head back to work. So enjoy the rest of the show, everybody.
Yeah, you have one of those things called a JOB. Shame on you.
Yep. I know.
Thank you, Andy.
I'd be here if I could, mate, but yeah.
Yeah. Tia, go ahead. Tia?
So, what they're missing here is we're not even talking about the little drones that this man's talking about. We're talking about the big ones, like the ones that are the size of people's houses.
The ones that are the size of an SUV. That's the thing. That's the most interesting point, is there's a certain morphology. That's the overall shape of these things and the size of these things. They want to focus on everything else versus the pieces of the puzzle that fit what we're looking for, right, Tia?
Yeah, and it's so blatantly obvious. Like, I don't understand how they think that we're just so stupid. It just baffles me.
There's a lot of sheep out there, Tia, but you know what? We'll get past it one day or the other, my friend. Let me go ahead and continue on with this video clip. Here we go, folks.
The propellers on many drones will not spin at all, so you cannot take off.
Well, someone listening to this right now might say, well, why hasn't that been done before to prevent some of these incidents that are happening, like near Boston Airport and military bases?
Yeah, so not every drone has that technology in it. We have to remember that drones have been around since before 2016, before there were even rules. I was flying drones before Part 107 came out. And the other thing that people sometimes forget is that these are aircraft. We're calling them drones, and a lot of times you got them off Amazon, or maybe you got it out of Best Buy or Walmart or some other kind of store like the hobbyist store. So they're often mistaken for toys. They really are not. They are aircraft that have to follow all the restrictions of the Federal Aviation Administration. And we've had drones in the sky for many years now with very, very few incidents. So most of the drone professionals or drone flyers out there are very, very conscientious of the rules. And we maintain to this day the safest airspace on the planet. The FAA does a fantastic job of doing this. So we want to remember that. It's been a month now since I first heard about the drones. No one has seen a large drone as described, or at least not been able to provide evidence, I should say, for that. And the small drones have had very little incidences. But with the media attention, we got a lot of people, I think, flying at night for the first time. And flying at night is much more difficult than flying during the day.
And the FAA is saying that pilots are now reporting a dramatic increase in laser pointer hits from the ground since these mysterious drone sightings and since all this attention has been paid to it. How concerning is this?
Well, to me, it's very concerning, and because if one of those laser pointers was to hit a pilot, especially on takeoff and landing when it is the most hazardous for aircraft, it could affect their orientation. They could be disoriented, and it could affect their ability to land that plane or take that.
Just to go ahead and bring this up, yes, there have been a number of sightings that have gone on, more so a number of pilots who have gone ahead and reported that, yes, they've had issues with lasers coming into their cockpit and temporarily blinding them, which is actually, you know, if you want to call it, preventing them from properly landing their plane. Now, not only have we been seeing drones going over the East Coast, there have been sightings of other objects going across the United States. We've had them in the we've had them in the upper West, in North Dakota, South Dakota. But you know what? In this video I'm about to play, there's also been drones reported going on in North Texas, which are probably not related to what we're seeing here, but it's another piece of the puzzle saying we've got a lot of drones coming in, inundating our military air bases. The ones on the East Coast may be us, and they have their need to go and look for whatever there are, but that doesn't mean in all of our other bases going in the United Kingdom and other places in the United States that these drones are not real. So again, we've got drones that could be ours, but then we also have drones and things that are going on in other military bases that are clearly not from our arsenal. On that note, let me go ahead and play this next video clip. Here we go, folks.
Above you, look up.
Flying in the night sky.
People just want to know who's flying it, what are they doing?
It's the latest unidentified drone mystery, this time in White Settlement.
We haven't seen the formation of drones like that before.
Slowly moving.
Officers capturing video of the hovering drones last night after getting multiple calls about 6 drones flying together in a no-fly zone near Lockheed Martin and Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base.
Pretty serious concerns when you have drones operating that close to an active runway and airfield.
It comes amid a surge in unidentified drone sightings happening all across the country. Sightings have been reported in at least 7 states and in other military bases.
There's no national security threat we're seeing at this time and no threat to public safety.
A former U.S. Navy fighter pilot pushing back.
I would pose to Admiral Kirby, why is this just an issue that's popping up now if these drones are so common within our airspace? I assure you that our adversaries are watching our reaction to this, and they are taking notes.
White Settlement police say identifying the origin of the drones hasn't been easy.
Is this a ploy just to get attention? Is this, again, a copycat kind of situation because you're seeing what's happening in other parts of the country? We just don't know because we haven't been able to identify them.
Right above you, look up.
The sightings prompting the FBI and NCIS to intervene to figure out who is behind this. Meanwhile, curiosity surrounding a series of mysterious drone sightings nationwide and now locally only grows. In White Settlement, I'm Adriana Dalb.
All right,
Flying in the night sky.
Before we move on to our next story, if we can, let's go ahead and bring in one of our viewers who has a question, my friends. Let's go ahead and bring in Kojin. Kojin, go ahead.
How's it going, Thomas? One of the things I kept hearing from these guys is that it's not a viable threat, but if you look at the locations that they're at, that is what we would consider a very clear threat. Like if you wanted to target an enemy, those are all the locations you would go for. You got dense populations, you got energy grids, you got military bases. And yet they can keep saying that it is not a credible threat, which makes me think these are either ours or they have no idea what the hell's going on.
Or it's a deep cover-up, my friend, right?
Yes.
Oh, God, yeah. Either way, I think it's a cover-up. If it's ours and they're looking for something, they're covering up what's going on. If it's not ours and they're not telling what's going on, it's another cover-up because clearly we have adversaries who have technology that's beyond our abilities.
I mean, these are the things we would even target over in Iraq.
Yeah. Great point, my friend. Thank you for bringing that up. I absolutely appreciate that. Now, we've got the one story about the things coming up in North Texas, but I've got another one. Tia, go ahead before we move on to our next video talking about South Carolina residents and their reports of drone sightings. Go ahead, Tia.
To say also that we've had problems with the cartel, right, in certain states that have been using drones for a long, long time. So that's not new.
Yeah.
Not new at all.
That's true. You know, if I go back on this, we had if you want to call it testimony, not that, just if you want to call it statements coming from Alejandro Mayorkas, who's the current head of the Department of Homeland Security. He said they have had over 45,000 incursions of drones over our border in the last year alone. And out of those incursions, Tia, they've only been able to bring down 60 of those incursions, which basically says that whatever we're trying to use to bring these drones down is completely ineffective, and we've paid for technology to bring these drones down that is, well, it's shit.
Yeah. And I mean, these drones they have payloads, but they have payloads of fentanyl and methamphetamine.
On the southwest border of the United States, absolutely. They're bringing drugs in, and there's other things. But what we're seeing on the West Coast is, on the East Coast is, and up in the area of New Jersey, there's been a regular onslaught of objects that are coming in that are moving back and forth in a grid pattern like they're trying to find something. And if the government knows something about what they've been trying to find, even though people like Lou Elizondo and others have said that, and Donald Trump for that matter, we deserve the right to know what's going on, the Biden administration is playing stupid at this manner.
Yeah, they're
how does that make you feel?
It really irritates the shit out of me, because I know our military knows what's going on, and they're ignoring it.
Yeah,
from what I see, and I feel like they're using this to take more rights away. It's a big mess.
Yeah, and that was the bill that had been put forward by Chuck Schumer to go ahead and allow these things to be shot down, but it was also not about shooting these things down. It was about, in the Senate, going ahead and removing a bunch of rights of American citizens. Remember, they were fighting against DJI, the major manufacturer of drones in the world, to go ahead and keep their technology out of the United States. Now they're finding other reasons to go ahead and do the same. I think we just have a slap-happy Democrat-run government who's trying to point fingers in the opposite directions versus looking at what's happening here in the homeland.
Also, you know what I think? That they're going out of office, right? And they don't want certain people like our newfound investigators, who I'm so proud of, from podcasts, finding out what they're doing, being able to use drone technology. That's really where it hits home for them.
Absolutely. As I see Mike popping up, Mike, what are your thoughts on this?
I think Tim Burchett hit the nail on the head when he said it's a cover-up.
Yeah.
He should have some merchandise out there. He should make T-shirts with that phrase on it.
Yeah. We have a person coming in saying Tacoma drones were observed moving towards Joint Base Lewis McChord on King 5. I haven't seen that one. If you have that link, go ahead and throw it in the chat. Don't you go and work with some people from from Como, Mike?
Yes.
Mark Burnett, I think, or Mark Burnett Broadcasting.
Yes, that's correct, Thomas.
All right, let's go ahead and bring this next video up, talking about South Carolina residents, mystery drone sightings amid national concern. So this isn't just in New Jersey, folks. This is hitting about 6 or 7 states on the eastern seaboard. Here we go.
South Carolina, WIS News 10 starts now.
The government knows what is happening.
Bingo.
Look, our military knows where they took off from, and for some reason they want to keep people in suspense.
Nothing nefarious, apparently, but they're checking it all out.
First at 6, the mystery that is raising alarm across the country. Thousands of suspected drone sightings on the East Coast. U.S. leaders and federal authorities now scrambling to tamp down false alarms and a multitude of conspiracy theories online.
As the drone hysteria soars across the nation, it's also causing a stir here in the Midlands.
We took this question to our viewers today, asking, do the recent reported drone sightings concern you at all? As you can see from the results, a majority of you, more than 65%, say yes, you at least have some concern. Our Nick Neville spent
You know what? I am going to go ahead and take this really quick, folks. I'm going to pause this for a second. Let me go ahead and bring this in. I am going to run our own survey, and let's see what our audience says on this one, Mike. I know, let's see where it goes. Let's go ahead and bring this up. Let's do the same survey as this one. Are you concerned about the drone sightings? Let's go ahead and bring this up really quick. And our friends coming from South Carolina have said 67% or 67% of their audience says yes. Let's see where this goes. Okay, let me go ahead and bring this up here really quick. Let me get it there. Well, right now we're about tied with that. 66% of our audience is saying yes. 34% of our audience is saying no. Hey, Google, set a timer for 1 minute, please. You've got 1 minute, audience, to go ahead and tell us what you think. Are you concerned about drone sightings? Yes or no? On that note, let me go ahead and get our sound effects up and going for our pulsing logo, as it's called. Let's see where we go. We have 45 seconds left, audience. Come on. Are you concerned? Are you think the United Nations is concerned about drone sightings? Yes or no? Would you look at that? We're already above the 67%. We're at 69% saying yes, 31% saying no, with only 270 votes in. Remember, folks, we've got 2,000 people watching our show right now. If they haven't given us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, this is also your chance to get there. Please give us a thumbs up, and if not, give us a thumbs down and tell us in the comments below. More importantly, if you haven't subscribed to Disclosure tonight, we are less than 500 subs away from hitting 17,000 subscribers here in Disclosure tonight. We'd love to have you here as a regular. And why am I asking? Because you know what? It's my name on the channel, and I'd love to have you here as a regular. On that note, with no time left on the channel on this, let me go ahead and pop that down. Well, did you look at that, Mike? We have got 69% of our audience is saying yes. They're concerned about the drone audience, about the drones, which is a little bit more. We're at 69% from our audience, where coming from WIS 10, 67%. So we're a little bit more. Interesting to say the least. The numbers kind of line up. Let's continue. Here we go, folks.
Time working on this story for us today, working to sort out the confusion and the concern over the drone mystery as it widens.
And Nick, you spoke with one woman who saw something hovering overhead late last night in Lexington County. What else did she tell you?
Right, Judy and Hannah. So she told me, she lives in the Red Bank community, and she told me that what she saw last night was truly startling. Bright lights shining down on her backyard, lights that didn't look like any aircraft that she had ever seen. And she wishes the government would address this more forcefully.
Mom, there's another one. Look right up by the moon, right underneath the moon.
The drone mystery on the minds of many in the Midlands. Some even reporting seeing drones in their neighborhoods, like Stacy Mink.
Oh my gosh, this is happening here too, because I've been hearing the news. I've been hearing the updates of all these different areas where these drones are being reported.
This is a portion of video sent to us by Mink from Red Bank on Tuesday night. She believes the lack of a clear understanding from government officials about what's in the skies is cause for concern.
This is a
really quick for people who are only hearing this on the left stereo. Some of the audio is only coming to us on the left channel. And if that's the case, I'm sorry. I'll try and work on this in the future to correct that. Here we go.
Problem that should be getting addressed more diligently and effectively by our government, and not just our federal government, but local government should be addressing this.
Others aren't so worried.
There are bigger and more important things to worry about in the world, other than drones that are flying around that I have no control over, that I can't dictate anything.
One local drone expert tells me it should be easy to determine who's flying these mystery drones if they're following all laws and regulations. Most have what's called a remote ID, or the equivalent of a digital license plate.
The average drone pilot you find out there are using drones for good, and we know that despite these sightings and stuff, majority of the drones that you will see, you don't have anything to worry about.
Mink, though, left with more questions than answers.
It's very scary to go outside and see something hovering above your home or above your neighborhood that you have no idea what it is.
Taz Little, who you just heard from in that story, he's the co-founder of AI Nautics, it's a local company that specializes in drones. He says that he hopes these reports don't cause legitimate drone operations to be called into question. The governor's office here in South Carolina tells me that they have not received any information from authorities concerning recent drone activity here. Live in the studio, Nick Nubble, WIS News 10.
Hey, Zeke Prescott, if you're watching the show, follow the link, join us in the back. If you have things you want to bring forward, we're here for you, my friend, to go ahead and try and bring forward the questions that are there. Oh, we got Bebop in the back. Bebop, do you have a question, my friend?
I do not. I'm actually showing you what these orbs and things are in the sky. I'm showing you a registered photo.
Oh, wow. Interesting. It looks like a face, doesn't it?
It has hands over his eyes.
Wow. That's amazing
There's
stuff.
A lot
Thank you
of
for
things. I have registered photos.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Wow, that is so interesting to say the
They're
least.
beautiful.
Now.
They have hooks in their mouths and a stinger on their tail.
Oh, wow. I think we talked the other day, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah, interesting to say the most. Now, I do have another video clip coming up from our friends saying that a behind the scenes look at the Ocean County Drone Center in New Jersey. Let's go ahead and bring up this next clip to go ahead and share. What do you think, Mike? Are you up for this one?
Absolutely. I can't wait.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot less scary than stingers and hooks, isn't it?
Oh, completely.
Oh, gosh,
so,
yes.
Yes.
That sounds scary to me.
It does.
Oh,
let's cover the next story.
All right, here we go, Mike. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Here we go, folks. Let's bring up this next clip coming to us from our friends in Channel 4 New York. Are you familiar with these people, Mike?
NBC affiliate. I absolutely am.
All right, let's go ahead and play this. Here we go, folks.
We have to get to those drone sightings that have been taking over the tri-state. A lot of reports and confusion just growing by the day. But tonight, we're going to take you inside a new drone command center that's keeping an eye on potential drones using cameras, even radar in New Jersey. And News 4's Adam Harding is in Seaside Heights with what's actually being spotted in the skies.
We had something that was low flying at us that stopped in the air, did a 180, and then went back out. So that's when we figured just something's weird out here.
Sergeant Kevin Fennessy says there have been sightings he still can't quite explain. Tonight, he's taking us behind the scenes inside Ocean County's new mobile drone command center.
There were a lot of reports, like you say, coming in off the ocean, so we butted right up to the ocean.
For the last week, investigators have been keeping a close watch on the skies using live feed cameras.
Honestly, we were just hoping to get lucky, that we would see whatever they're going to, or is that a bird? That's a bird. No, that's a helicopter.
They cross-reference whatever they see in the sky with live radar tracking.
So you have not been able to spot 50 drones going out to the ocean?
No. There's been reports, but I haven't been able to spot them, no.
What do you make of what these last few weeks have been?
It's hard to form an opinion.
The FBI and Homeland Security this week said they've received thousands of calls and tips about drones, many determined to be manned aircraft. The feds say there is no threat to public safety.
Small airplanes typically have red and green wingtip lights.
The FAA, meanwhile, releasing this new video today with tips on how to identify various aircraft as lawmakers in Washington debate drone legislation.
The people in New York and New Jersey have a lot of questions.
and they're not getting good enough answers.
Tell us what the problem is. Tell us the extent of the problem.
The sightings were first reported weeks ago, but investigators in Ocean County say they've begun to slow down. For how long remains anyone's guess.
Our whole job is based off facts, and we want to find facts on what's going on and tell people about it and put people at ease, hopefully, because I think everyone's a little nervous.
A little timeline here. These sightings did not appear in Ocean County until the beginning of the month. This command post behind us went up less than a week ago. And even though sightings are beginning to slow down, for now, the command center remains. In Seaside Heights, Ocean County, I'm Adam Harding, News 4, New York.
Interesting. Now, turning our sights on the East Coast, one of our people in the chat, Mr. Anonymous Rex, who is off in Oregon, has been seeing some some lights going on in the skies over where he lives near Salem, Oregon, that doesn't look normal. More importantly, as Tim has been going ahead and looking at the sky at Flight Radar 24, while this object is not showing up in there, there are multiple, if you want to call it, military helicopters that are following along with this object. So while we're seeing things on the East Coast that are clearly drones, there are things that are happening on the West Coast that are not drones for that matter, but are clearly questionable in their origin and what they're doing over these areas. So, you know what? These drones have been going off all over the United States, and we just have to go ahead and look at it and understand what's happening. But more importantly, keeping an eye into the sky to where you're living. Look at platforms like Flight Radar 24, like Anonymous Rex has, to go ahead and see what's up there, because let me go ahead and bring this up. I think I've got some more images, not that one. Coming from Flight Radar 24, let me get to this one, showing things that have been flying in the sky, not necessarily that are, let me get to this here, let me bring this up. Not only are they just things in the sky we're unaware of, but it's things that we're not sure of what's going on. Hold on a second, let me help Moose get outside. Moose, come on, get out front. Moose, come on, go ahead. Up front, Moose. Up front. Come on. Sometimes when the dogs don't realize what's good for them. Yes, he just came back in. How about that? Gotta have fun with it. Hollywood Herald, do you have your hand up, my friend?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you something about that. If you could put up that ABDS global site there where you can separate the military planes from the civilian ones.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go, right there. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
It's one of those things, and you know what? We're getting this stuff going on the East Coast, Hollywood, that directly relates back to our military. But the things we're seeing down in Texas, that we're seeing up in the Dakotas, out on the West Coast, like we had the sighting that went on last week where there was pilots who saw clearly UAP that were interfering with their flight going over the state of Oregon, heading towards Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, that were UAP. So we've got clearly UAP sightings on the West Coast, but on the East Coast, we have things that we could really tie back to our American military. What do you think? Or maybe not, Harold. How about that? All right, so coming up to our next story, my friends, we have Connecticut State Senator Tony Hwang questions the drone sightings. Let me go ahead and bring up this next clip for us to get into. Here we go. Let's go ahead and play this next news story for what's happening. Yes, the news is drying up on this, but you know what? The questions still remain. Here we go, folks.
Let me repeat again. I want to be here to advocate and give voice to my constituents and to ask for information that is critically needed to guide state authorities, our state agencies, and to ultimately empower our local law enforcement to be able to do their job to protect and inform our community. Because at present, we're at a standstill. We're not getting that information from our federal authorities. So it's very unsettling to public safety and security and our peace of mind during the holiday season. So urgently, at present, what we have is a lack of information at all levels of government to the public. It's unacceptable. The fact that we had a sighting last Thursday and that weeks have gone by in New York and New Jersey, that we have not gotten an explanation as to who and what these drones are. It really is a breakdown of transparency, trusted communications, and answers. There are two possible theories, and none of which are good in my mind, is the fact that our government truly do not know what these drones are up there for. That is alarming. But the other possibility is the fact that the government does know and is not sharing transparency and facts with the community. So I'm repeating again, for me as a state senator, I'm here to ask for facts and answers on behalf of my constituents and to help our state agencies to be able to inform and empower our local law enforcement to do their job, that is to protect and inform the public. And right now, we're not having that.
Really quick, I want to go ahead and interrupt this great message coming from someone who's a senator. If you're having a good time, you're enjoying the podcast, my friend, do us a favor. Give us a like and subscribe. More importantly, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. We'd love to have it. More importantly, if you haven't subscribed to Disclosure tonight, we are less than 500 subs away from, 17,000, actually 18,000 subs. We'd love to have you here as a regular Disclosure tonight. This is your chance and opportunity to go ahead and subscribe to what we've got going on here. We'd love to have you as a regular in Disclosure tonight. And I thank you for your support of what we do here. Here we go.
So it's really, really a necessary need for me today to raise that concern. It's been far, far too long. And I want to acknowledge my federal representatives, particularly Senator Blumenthal and Representative Himes, for their efforts on behalf of our community. They have asked the same question as well. And they seem to be getting the same kind of reassurances without facts. But I want to commend them for making that effort on our community's behalf. But I also wanted to add that what I've heard in news releases is the fact that the federal government could possibly be sending drone detection technology to New York and New Jersey. And if that is indeed the case, Connecticut needs to be part of that answer.
Right. As long as that drone detection technology isn't there as part of a cover-up or anything to go ahead and make people feel more safe when our government already knows what's going on. And according to President-elect Trump, they know what's going on. And the rest of everything is a cover-up on that matter. Let me continue.
So for me, we need to be proactive, not reactive. And that requires full transparency, accountability, and an honest conversation to ensure our public safety. People just don't know. And I'm here to ask for answers on their behalf. And I'm happy to take any questions. I want to thank you all for being here. But for me, I stand as one of my constituents in wanting to know the who and the what. And particularly to remind people, without facts, we lead to speculation. And speculation leads to uncertainty and potentially fear. And we cannot allow that. And for those,
and we've heard a lot of people coming on the show saying they're in fear of what's going on. So for that matter, it's about knowing what's happening. Don't letting yourself get to fear, because if you're afraid, you're not making the right decisions about what's going on around you. Let me continue.
People that said potentially this may be a lot for nothing. I need to remind people that nearly 2 years ago, the balloon incidents that floated over the United States, our original thought was there was no procedure, there was no process in addressing the issue. And when we finally shot it down, it was exposed to be surveillance technology on American land. That, to me, is a concern. So again, let's get the facts. Let's demand accountability. Let's demand transparency to allow our state and local authorities to do their job in informing and protecting our community.
I have to say I like what he's saying, because if there was surveillance going on in the American state, we deserve to know what's going on. And clearly, our friends in Washington, D.C. from the Biden administration are intent on covering this up. Let's see where this goes.
I'm happy to take any questions.
Besides Fairfield, where else have you heard in the state that drones have been spotted?
Well, it's throughout the state. And one of the things that's important to share is the fact that our state authorities have, and local authorities have put up a hotline that when you see these sightings, to report them. But again, we have no process to be able to address what to do with them. And that uncertainty, without facts and guidance from the federal government, is creating an untenable situation. But incidences are occurring, but without the facts, without fully addressing the who and the what, you're going to get speculation. You're going to get speculation, and that leads to fear. But it's throughout the tri-state area.
Have you gotten a ton of phone calls since the sighting occurred?
I've gotten emails, I've got phone calls, but I will share with you, in talking to people, they don't want to be overly concerned for fear of being perceived as conspiracy theorists, for unwarranted fear and speculation. But it's human nature. The reality is it is among us, 100%. And we don't know. And that is what we're trying to get to the bottom of, getting the facts so that we can allow our state agencies, which are working really hard to get the same information, but most importantly, our local law enforcement can't act on anything without the facts.
I would imagine a situation like this is a breeding ground for conspiracy theory.
It is an absolute breeding ground, and you see it. And you sense it in the broader community. No one's going to go out in public and spout the conspiracy because there was a concern that people may see them as kind of the outliers. But it's out there because absent the facts from our federal government, which regulates drones because it is an aircraft, and without regulation, I know there are conversations about being able to shoot them down. Well, we can't do that, in my mind, without federal assurances and guidelines. Our law enforcement hands are tied. And so for me, I am in my role, let me repeat again, as a state senator representing my district and my constituency, asking the federal government to give us the necessary information so the state agencies can guide and assist, and most importantly, our local law enforcement can do their job.
Tony, I saw videos this morning of people in New Jersey who are actively shooting at, but I'm talking about civilians now, not like police or anything like that. What do you say to people in Connecticut who want to take matters into their own hands?
I think that is the concern. That is a big reason why I wanted to have this press conference is absent action, absent guidance, people are going to take actions into their own hands. And that is dangerous. So let us get to work. Let us get the facts. And what it really comes out to is an underlying distrust, an underlying lack of confidence in our government to be able to potentially give us all the truth and fact, but also this delay.
This guy is truly calling it out how it is. I love how he's just cutting through the bullshit and telling the American people where we stand.
Is unconscionable. It's unconscionable that New Jersey has endured this for weeks. We've had this since last Thursday and the proliferation and the coverage of it, and there is still no factual answers. The Homeland Secretary appeared on national TV and said, this is benign, reassurances that this is not dangerous. But we didn't get the who, we didn't get the what. And that is absolutely critical to allay the concerns. And please, to the general public, do not take situations into your own hand. We don't know what's in there. We don't know what's at risk. Let us work in concert with our state agencies and local law enforcement to be able to address this issue. Again, let me repeat. I'm going to be redundant, as my wife would say quite often. It is important for my role as a state senator to give my constituents a voice that they feel that they don't have on this issue, and to be able to get the facts and the necessary information so that our state agencies, who are working so hard and diligently, can guide and give process to our local law enforcement so that we can address those concerns and issues. Thank you for being out here. The weather is what it is, but I appreciate an opportunity, and I want to stay in my lane and role as a state senator, but I felt it was important to give our community and residents that do not want to put themselves out at risk of being ostracized or wrongly identified. I want to give them a voice that they deserve to be heard.
Mike,
thank you all
your
for being here.
thoughts on this? We have a state senator from Connecticut really coming clear and saying how he feels about the drones that have been seeing over his constituency. Your thoughts?
I think it's interesting that we have a state senator from a state that wasn't in this drone flap that's been going on in New York and New Jersey and down south.
Yeah.
And he's jumping into the fray and participating in the conversation. You know what? He's being proactive, and that's something that most politicians go out of their way to avoid doing.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
They do. So I'm really impressed that he is stepping up to the plate from his state to really put a spotlight for his constituents and for the public about how the government has mishandled this completely, and still is. It's ongoing.
Because that's what's been going on, Mike, is we've had our government mishandling the situation for what's going on. And there's a lot of people in government trying to get answers, but when we've had such a pushback coming out of Washington, D.C., led by the Biden administration, you have to wonder, why are they going ahead and working so hard in overtime to give us an answer of what's truly going on? Granted, they've tried to go ahead and keep any of the truth from us on UFOs out, but even on this scenario, the Biden administration is trying to keep even this out of the public view. Why do you think they could be so freaking hell-bent on keeping the truth from the American people? Do you think that we can't handle it?
It's either that or, like Tia said earlier, they know that the clock is ticking and they're down to a very short period of time left in office. They probably don't give a rat's ass about what's going on at the moment, on anything.
Yeah.
At all. That realistically, I don't think it's a grand conspiracy, more than I think it's, like Lou said last night to us on the show, it's incompetence at the very least. And they don't care. They're not motivated. They have nothing to gain by getting into the midst and trying to deal with this proactively. They're just running the clock out until they get the hell out of Dodge. That's what it seems like to me.
It seems like they're trying to go ahead and leave a government in total disarray for the next administration that's coming in. On that note, Mike, I actually went ahead and started a survey on this point. Let me go ahead and bring this one up. Where am I at? Let's go ahead and show it. The American citizens can handle the truth about what's going on. You know, let's go ahead and set this. Hey, Google, set a timer for 1 minute and 30 seconds, please.
Got it. 1 minute, 30 seconds.
All right, let me go.
Starting
now. Let me go ahead and bring this up. And where is it at? Let me start the music. All right, we have 1 minute and 18 seconds left, my friends. We have 151 votes in, actually 145. Can the American people handle the truth about what's going on the East Coast with drones? So far, we have 83% of our audience saying, yes, we can handle the truth, and 70% of our audience, actually 18% of our audience, is saying no, with 201 votes in. We have 55 seconds left. If we look at this, Mike, how would you vote? Can we handle the truth or not?
Oh, absolutely, Thomas. 100%.
Yeah.
We can handle the truth.
Tia Maria, you've talked a lot tonight. What do you think? Can we handle the truth, true or false?
Absolutely, we can handle the truth. Absolutely.
Yeah. Laura Campbell, a remote viewing targeter friend. What do you think? Can we handle the truth, true or false?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Absolutely. Kenneth Anderson, what do you think? Can we handle the truth? Or Ed Brown, go ahead. One of you two.
I think we can handle the truth.
Yes. I think we can as well. So majority of the people in the back think we can handle the truth with just 1 second left. Let me go ahead and take a screenshot of where take a screenshot of where we're at. 81% of our audience, 277 votes in, yes, we can handle the truth. And Mike, you know what? I think we can handle the truth. And our audience says so. What do you think?
Absolutely. And we also know that Lou has been making that exact point on his tour to the public.
Yeah.
We can absolutely handle the truth. He's right.
Yeah.
That's what you and I fight for every day on the show.
Every single day, day in and day out, we look what's going on. We see what's happening. And the truth of the matter is, we want to bring out the truth to our audience, to the American people, and say, yes, this is what's going on. We are going ahead and going up against the lamestream or mainstream media, and a lot of times correcting what they're saying. Right, Mike?
We do. And we also call out the government's bullshit when they're busy spreading it around out there. It's a service for our audience to try to put them on the right track.
Because a lot of times, what do we deal with, Mike? We deal with government officials who sound like...
Oh, a bullshit artist.
And then when we ask them what they found, what do they say?
We ain't found shit.
Exactly, right, Mike?
Exactly. Oh,
Bingo.
100%. Yep.
Thank you to Mel Brooks for those 2 quotes from Spaceballs, but it's the truth of what we're all dealing with, right?
It's the truth of what the government has been dealing, how the government has been dealing with the public the entire time.
Yeah.
That we are pushing back against, as is Lou and all of the other people in the community, our audience that is looking to see what exactly it is that they've been hiding the whole time. Now we have drones.
Yeah.
That's added to the list, Thomas.
Let's just go ahead and get to the truth, figure out what's going on. Let's find out what's drones and what's happening. Let's push it off to the side. Let's find the stuff that's UAP, push it off to the other side, and just get to the brass tacks of what's going on in our country. Ed Brown, you have your hand up, my friend.
Yeah, I sure do. Earlier, Mike said that he thought it was incompetence. There's another possible option, too. It's complacency. They were so complacent, and I don't mean to be political, but look at the southern border, so complacent with how much came through, both the drones and on foot. Who knows what's been brought into this country? There would have been time to bring 10,000 drones into this country.
Oh, yeah. Or 10,000 bombs, for that matter, right? Wait, Ed?
Good. Something to think about.
Oh, gosh, yes. And it's the things that our government doesn't want us to think about, right, Mike?
Oh, no. They have been covering up the truth for decades now. And that's a bipartisan thing, by the way. It isn't one side of the aisle or the other. This cover-up has been going on for a very long time, and both sides and both parties have equally been involved in covering everything up.
And we wish it was different, but the truth of the matter is we have to look at what's been going on in Washington, what's been going on in our country, what's been going on for the last 4 years, for that fact, and it just rings out as a cover-up, as a operation that's going on where we're not willing to bring in the reality of the American people, because they can't handle it, but I think they can handle it, Mike. And what we're going to be seeing in the next month is the American people can handle the truth.
Yeah, I think as the truth is going to start to come out in the beginning of the new year.
Oh, yeah.
I have a feeling that the public is going to do just fine. I have no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be
Absolutely,
interesting.
my friend. Absolutely. And as we look to what's been going on tonight, wow, what a great show. What a great opportunity. Go ahead and hang out with friends. More importantly, where is that at? I'm going to go ahead and thank all of our friends that get in super chats tonight. That would include Healthy Divine, Seek Truth 778, Fat Frank, thank you very much. Dirk Ridley, Firefly, Shelley Montgomery, Mandy Leanne. Also want to thank Healthy Divine and Lord McCormick. Well, I want to thank everybody for your wonderful support of everything we do here at Disclosure tonight. More importantly, I want to thank everybody who has been in the who's been in the chat tonight. Who am I talking about? I want to thank Don Mofo and Joanne, $70 Million Man X, AK Alex Lewis, Anton Bryce, Andy Core, Anton YTACC. We got Anton Ghost. Are you saying I don't know more? Austin Gilbert. We got BW Broom. We got Bobby G82. We got Bonfire Bradley, Brian Pemble, who's usually in the back, but he's in the chat now. How about that? We got CO Videos. We got Chris Richardson. We got Cindy Country Carpenter. We got Corporal Abe, Craig Smith, Daryl, Dave Sees UFOs. We also have to thank Denka, Digger Dog, DRVB, Eric Roth, and the Gurus. Ernie's been here along with F2 Twister. I want to thank Pink Floyd, Firefly, Grift, Gringo, Harry, Heiser, Invisible Tracker, Izzy, Jake, Jason, Joey, Jomari, Joey again. Also want to thank Johnny, UFO, that for that matter, Kathy Taro. Also want to thank Larry, Derry, Louis the Fifth, Lynn 60. We got Manis, INWL, Miami, Marcus and the Mandels, Marvin the Martian. Mary's been here along with McCarran for that matter. Also want to thank Michaela, Michelle, Moonpie, Nicholas, Omegaddon, OT. We also have Papa's been here. Holy cow. Let's make this a little bit louder. Let's thank Raul, PJ Larson, Rough Reddy, Sam, CU, Sprightly Sprites, Gemstone, and Crystal Mineral Magic. Terrence has been here. T-Jepidemic, that 101 guy, the Mac Geek. Also want to thank Tim Tracy, Ty Grail, Todd T, Thread, Troy's been here, Truth Hurts, Tweety Pie, Vic Vancouver again, What the UFO, X Poison XXX, Yankee 58, Yellow Tommy Tanker, also known as Andy, and Zeke Prescott, and Dead Fish Cheese Spread. More importantly, I also want to go ahead and thank our friends who have been in the back tonight. I want to thank, let's go to it, Brendan England. Thanks for coming out tonight, Brendan.
Yeah, thanks, Thomas. I didn't have much contribution tonight, but I'll get there. Thank you.
Absolutely. Bruce, thanks for coming out. Corporal Abe, appreciate you being here. Corporal Abe, Durrell Zernick, Mr. Live Long and Prosper, thanks for coming out.
Thank you, Thomas. Another great show.
Ed Brown, appreciate your comments.
Same here, Tom. It's a great show tonight, and I hope to have another day with you.
Corporal Abe, thanks for coming out. I saw you pop up.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, my friend. Happy holidays, everybody. Love you. Another awesome show. Catch you on the next one, guys. Come to the back chat if you want to continue the conversation, guys.
Yeah, follow the link for after the show. We have a great conversation that happens in the back chat, as Corporal Abe has said. Also want to thank Laura Campbell. Thanks for coming out today, Laura.
Oh, you're welcome, Thomas. It's always an interesting evening.
Oh, you better believe it. And as we usually say, Happy holidays, Laura. Thanks for coming out. Also want to thank Michael Sokoloff. Thanks for coming out tonight, my friend.
Anytime, Thomas, anytime.
None of your business. Thanks for being here.
Sorry I was late. I snuck in the back door when no one was looking, but obviously see me.
Tia Maria, thanks for being here, my friend.
Oh, I wouldn't be anywhere else. You know that. I love it.
Thank you for coming here, my dear friend, and my friend Mike. Disclosure. Wouldn't it be the same with you hanging out at the checkout lines at ShopRite?
No, I'm telling you. But yeah, no, listen, it was another great show tonight. We covered a lot of ground, a lot of information.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a fun conversation. Thank you for all the work that you do putting this together for everybody, for the audience.
You better believe, my friend, as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everyone, but
go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll catch you on the flip side. Good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. You all come back now here. Take care now. Bye-bye.